I'm going to say to you, listen and watch. You did not see Anthony Daniels on stage just now. Oh, thanks, stop. Has anybody here seen Star Wars? Does anybody here not know what a Jedi mind trick is? For those who've forgotten, when a Jedi master, somebody strong in the
weak-minded.
It only works on the weak-minded? Then why aren't 100% of you reacting? When somebody strong in the Force goes, there, you go, there. Are we ready? Are there any questions? Concentrate now. You did not see Anthony Daniels bossing people around, moving their seats. Thank you for being here. Do you remember anything what happened earlier? No. Just checking. Good.
Did something happen earlier? I don't know.
Nothing happened earlier. Sorry, nothing happened earlier.
Nothing happened earlier.
Very good.
Well,
he learns eventually.
Strange feeling. Anthony Daniels! Ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Daniels is here!
We done that. Right.
Hello?
This interview is going to go awfully well, isn't it? What would you say? What would you say to a man who spent nearly 40 years dressed in a funny gold suit? If you had a question, what would it be? Has anybody got a question? You're all asleep again. Okay, so it's you, Tim.
What's yours? Isn't it tiring if you're just standing for
Sit there.
40 years. Sit there.
Yeah. Well, use the chair.
Yeah.
You see, this way we are relating to you, are we not? If we sit behind this very beautiful thing...
Holocron. It's a holocron. You can travel through dimensions with it. Actually, I traveled on the stage yesterday from a Western saloon onto the stage. I'm still...
Who understood that? I'm totally on my own, aren't I, Brad? Okay, so now we're sitting comfortably. Hello.
Hello. I don't know. I'm still a bit weak-minded, I think.
There's nothing weak about you.
I don't know. Okay, but I think I got brainwashed or something. 37 years ago, you weren't that much of a Star Wars fan, were you?
Wait a minute, I've got to do the maths. How long ago was 1975? It was 39 years ago. Is that right?
39 years. 37 is when the movie came out. Okay,
it's
39
years. The numbers count, you know what I mean. 37, 38, 39 years ago, I wasn't interested in science fiction. I had seen very few sci-fi movies. I don't know why it didn't appeal. So when George Lucas asked me, or through his agent, the casting agent, to see me about a sci-fi movie, I wasn't interested at all. Many of you know this, don't you? Or do you?
Do you?
You're allowed to join in. It doesn't cost extra. Although, we could charge.
Question, how much?
Anyway, so really, many of you will know that I didn't want to meet George Lucas for the part of a robot in a low-budget sci-fi movie. And my agent was a very strong woman, and she, in other words, said, go and meet him, because you never know what it could lead to. And of course, that meeting, which I eventually took, leads me to be here at Jedi Con all these years later. As I said at some point today, it's all about destiny. None of us knows what our destiny is until it ends with a final blackout. But right now, my destiny was taken over by, if you like, George Lucas, if you like, by the story, if you like, by the power of the Force. And I mean that quite sincerely, that something took my life, which was a very normal, fairly ordinary actor, one in work, which made me extraordinary, because most actors aren't in work at the time then, and took me, in spite of me not wanting to do it, a bigger power said, you will be in Star Wars. And back then nobody knew what Star Wars was. Back then it was the Star Wars. Before that it was the Adventures of Luke Starkiller. Before that I don't know. So there I was, suddenly cast in this role. Because by then I had fallen in love with Ralph McQuarrie's painting, his concept painting of 3PO. And I am thrilled there are people here in this convention who knew very well Liz Moore, the sculptor, who took Ralph McQuarrie's painting, and I'd fallen in love with the painting, and Liz Moore took that painting and created it in clay, three-dimensional clay around a mold of my body, so that when you look at C-3PO's face, you're seeing through the eyes of two artists. First of all, Ralph McQuarrie, who did it in 2 dimensions, then Liz Moore, who did it in 3 dimensions. And the sad thing is that Liz was a gorgeous, beautiful, talented girl, and she was killed in a car crash before 3PO ever walked on any planet at all. And if I believed in a sort of other world, I'd give her a wave right now and say, be proud, because I'm very proud to have known her. And there are books around at this convention which show her as she was. And I remember her every time. The problem, of course, began when that 3-dimensional suit got put on my body. Action. Why, sir, my first job was... Terrific. Cut. Because I was able, as many actors are able to do curiously, even with Shakespeare, especially with Shakespeare, because it has this tune that goes through it. If you forget the actual words, You can, the same scansion and length as the real script. It's a peculiar habit. And so, what happened then was we finished filming, and all the time, many of you will know this story, I had a microphone here and a transmitter right here. Indeed, even today, I'm speaking to you out of my butt. But time went on, and the sound inside 3PO space is... You can't use it. Horrible. And many of you will know the story that I seriously believed that I had forgotten about the movie. Because, it was a tough experience, and I was in a play or something, and memories can be kind. It was not a great experience, shooting. And then, literally, another phone call from my agent to go to Hollywood, literally, in California, and put my voice on. And I get there. Stay with me, those of you who've heard the story, but it will always be true because it was true at the beginning, and it's true 30-something years later. And I come into the sound producer stage studio, a dubbing studio, a place where you put your voice on a screen. And there's an engineer there, the guy with all the controls. And he said, "Oh, hi, you're Anthony. Well, pleased to meet you," because, it's kind of incredible you got here, because we had spent a couple of months trying to find a voice for your character, because, George really hates you. Oh, hi, George. You hated my performance? No, never thought of 3PO as being a British butler. He never thought of 3PO as being a British butler. He could have said something. He could have said, I never actually thought of 3PO being a British butler. Could you, do a different voice? Could it be a Bronx car dealer? Well, try. But he never said anything. And he was big enough. He had people like Richard Dreyfuss trying to put his voice, on my physical performance. And it didn't work. Richard, other people, it didn't work. And finally, one of the well-known cartoon voices said, Anthony's voice is pretty good. You could use it. Okay. And so he did. And he changed his mind. He gave me that lease on life. He gave 3PO that lease on life. That again brings me here today. And I wouldn't be in what the MD movie database, I think, says 39 iterations of Star Wars in some way. I wouldn't be there if I hadn't had my voice on the original film. And what is remarkable is not the fact that I am the most brilliantly skilled actor you have ever heard. Not that. It's the fact that George Lucas wrote a script in which there was this character who was totally in the wrong place every time. He was never happy. Always there was something wrong. Yes. He hated being where he was. Too much drama, too much danger. His little friend was gung-ho, the drama there between them. George had written this. Ralph McQuarrie had painted him. Liz Moore had sculpted him. I put on the clothes. I spoke. And at that moment, a combination of all that coming together, something happened that 3PO became whole. A little to do with me, a little to do with everybody involved, but a lot to do with the kind of space magic. Well, I will now say, since the Disney Corporation owns the whole Star Wars thing, I will say a little bit of pixie dust. And it happened that the only voice that fits C-3PO is C-3PO, cycle relations. And it's incredible. It's actually incredible that when we just redid... Has anybody been on Star Tours in Disneyland, in Anaheim, in Florida? Well, as you know, 3PO, after 20-something years of just being pre-show, mending the spacecraft, sorry, it's this way, isn't it? Mending the spacecraft that you're going to get on the ride eventually, that he got promoted to be pilot. Didn't want to be. didn't expect to be. Please go on Star Tours Disney Star Tours. The adventures continue. There's more than one, don't tell anybody. And they said, we want to redo the pre-show, but we don't want to record all of it. Could you say, we want to insert some lines? And they were amazed, as was I, that 20-something years later I could exactly fit the voice that had been talking away for 24 hours for 20 years. And even I cannot tell which of the new lines. So there's something magic about 3PO. That is a little bit of everything. And, actually, it now occurs to me, a very important bit of it is you believing in 3PO. You believing in 3PO. And even more important is Luke Skywalker believing in 3PO. Even more important is Han Solo believing in 3PO in a totally different attitude. Because when you have actors that you recognize as being you, talking very sincerely to something really quite strange, you believe through, almost by an amanuensis, through them. So you are a part of it. Don't ever think you're not. But you know something? Life on a film set is quite, I don't know, for me it's quite lonely because I'm kind of locked inside, and often with an object that doesn't actually relate to me. And it's only when the film comes out, when that film particularly came out, and people saw it and loved it, and it brings me here today. And it is a combination of everything. And it's important to remember that without those first audiences that went to see the very first showing in California, with no publicity, they went, they saw the film, they ran out, they got their friends. And so it grew like a pyramid scheme where the world was filled with Star Wars lovers.